Good evening. Thank you for joining, whether you're watching live or you're watching this as a recording later. I am really excited to be here. My name is Carly and I'm with Colorful Crow Publishing. We actually have a guest tonight that will be joining us momentarily. Her name is Barbara Tucker. I'm really excited about Barbara. I was really excited to receive Barbara's submission. Barbara, I actually knew Barbara. I knew of Barbara before she submitted to our company. She's very active in the writing world, specifically within my circle. And so I already owned a couple of her books. I've got the Gospel According to Lazarus and also Leading in a Strange Land, which happens to be one of my favorites by far. She did such a great job with those. So to receive a manuscript from her that was fiction was really exciting, and I know that it's going to do really well in the market. It's a fantastic book. I really admire her as a writer. She works hard, and you can tell she's a very smart lady. And I feel like we're kindred spirits a little bit. I was kind of perusing her website. She grew up on Little Golden Books and Nancy Drew. So that's my childhood in a nutshell. I love the Little Golden Books, and still to this day, I will buy them. I'll buy them from a store in a heartbeat, and just start a little collection of those older books that we all read and fell in love with, and their characters. And then Nancy Drew was a big one. Also enjoyed the Boxcar Children and things like that. So I was a big reader growing up, and so I feel like that's something Barbara and I definitely have in common. Barbara has a wonderful personality, and she's a true delight to work with. So I'm really excited about our project together. So we are waiting for her to come on. Barbara, you just let me know when you're here. I do want to say, anyone who is watching with us, if you have questions for Barbara, you can throw those down into the chat box. We'll get to those. I'll try to keep a check on it. It's kind of hard once you get into a conversation to keep looking down there, but I'll try to remember, and we'll get to those, and she can answer some of your questions also. And then I want to give a shout out to Cartersville area writers, because they're on here. They are having their meeting tonight, and I scheduled at the same time as their meeting. So they're watching along with us, which is pretty fantastic. All right. So I'm going to see if I can find Barbara. So I'll talk a little bit about the Cartersville area writers, because they have some big news coming up. That is a group that was kind of a spinoff group from the Calhoun area writers. Mandy L. Cantrell leads that group, and she has done a fantastic job. That's just really taken off very quickly. She went in, found a meeting spot, and started grabbing up writers. So there are several in the Cartersville area, but there's some Calhoun folks that drive over, and they actually are doing a conference, and it's a kind of a big conference, a big deal. And so I definitely would say check that out if you get the chance. They are selling tables right now. So you can, if you're an author and you have books, you can sell your books at their conference, which is pretty sweet. It's a great way to meet some other writers, and to kind of mingle in some other circles. See, Mandy's trying to get on right now, so we'll see if she can join us. But their conference is going to be in May, and I'm really excited. They've got some really great speakers. They have Loretta Hannon that's going to be the keynote, and Loretta is, she's a big deal. She's so good. So I'm really hoping that she'll have a great turnout. I know Loretta brings a big following. They're also going to have Ann Height. Ann's going to be doing, she's a secondary speaker. She's going to be doing more of a workshop-based offering, which I think is really great. You like to go and hear somebody speak to you, but then also to have that time where you can be very specific and you're working on your project. And so I think that's going to be really great. They're doing speed presenters, which is something that we've done in Calhoun, and I love that. It's, when you go to a conference, you're often in this little room, and then you're run into this room, and you've got to choose between all these fantastic workshops. And so, speed presenters is you sit in your seat and you stay in your seat, and then the speakers are going across the stage, and they're there for 15 minutes. So you're taking notes, like a madman, just pencil smoking, trying to get everything that you can. And then you're taking that stuff home with you. And you can go back through those notes later. Always a really great time. And so I think that, between that and the speakers that they have, Cartersville is really putting on a conference that's a big contender. So it's definitely something that you want to attend. But if you've got books, you're going to want to sell your books there. So you can find them on Facebook. I know they have a website because I just saw it, but I didn't memorize it. So Mandy, if you're on here, maybe you could throw your website into the chat box, or how people can, oh, yep, there you go. Or how people can buy a ticket to the conference and find out more information. I know they can follow you on Facebook. So, well, Mandy is here. I see some others. I do not see Barbara, so she must be having some trouble. Let me see if I can find her. We may have to call Barbara. We may do a phone call. I'm going to reach out to her. Ka, yay! Ka is here. I am so glad you guys have joined us. We're going to have a great time. All right, so I'm going to call Barbara. We're going to see if we can get her on speakerphone.
Hello?
Hi, Barbara. Oh, I just lost her. There she goes. Hey, Barbara.
Yes.
This is Carly.
Yeah.
All right, so I have you on Facebook Live. You're on speakerphone. Are you okay with that?
Yes, it's fine. I don't know why it's not working, though.
Mandy said she was having some trouble with the Cartersville area writers. They're joining us too, so I don't know. They got on, but it took them a minute.
Okay. I don't see any place to get online. It doesn't allow me to do that. It doesn't allow me to get on anything.
Okay. Well, that's okay. We'll do it on the phone if you're good.
Okay.
All right. So basically, I've been singing your praises for a few minutes. Basically, just letting everybody know you're active in the writing world. I have a couple of your books. Am very familiar with you and your writing. I did say I feel like we're kindred spirits when I read you. You grew up on Little Golden Books and Nancy Drew. Me too. Those were definite favorites. The Boxcar Children, that was another one I really liked. I don't know if you ever read that one, but We are here tonight to talk about your latest project, which is Sudden Future. I don't want to spoil anything. I want you to tell us a little about Sudden Future, exactly what you want us to know.
All right. So I'm going to start with something that I learned from the Calhoun Area Writers Conference in 2019.
Awesome.
There was a speaker there, and I've forgotten his name. His last name was James, and he had this wonderful phrase. He said, "Start with the snake."
Yep.
So it's really important that you hook your reader in the first paragraph, or at least the first 2 pages. Keep them reading. So I have really worked on trying to do that. So let me start with my snake.
Awesome.
We start the book with a young man. We don't really know much about him, but he's in the back room of a funeral home looking down at the deceased body of his middle-aged mother, who has just died from cancer. And she's going to be cremated. Now, to me, that's pretty visceral.
Yes.
If you've been through this, which I kind of have, you know the feeling. If you haven't, it's scary, intriguing, maybe a little disgusting, but it definitely sets the tone for something. This is not going to be a cozy mystery or a comedic novel or something light. And then it goes on to say that he's thinking to himself and that he's made her a promise, and now she's dead.
Yep.
Does he really have to keep this promise? So that's my snake.
Yeah, and it's a great one.
That's my hook. So, but as it goes on, we go back to 6 weeks before then or so, and find out how she manipulated him, because they have a strained relationship, into taking care of a situation that she created. And that's his sudden future. Now, I could tell more and get into it, but I'm hoping that that's enough to make people want to keep reading.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Your book has a fantastic hook. Very ideal when you're sending it out to query agents. It's definitely not something you can just put down and not think about. So yeah, that's something you've got. You did it. It was Stephen James is who said that.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yep. He was phenomenal. Well, I'm going to play off of that a little bit and tell you what I like about Sudden Future without giving anything else away. I like the storyline, and I'll tell you what I like about it. I love that it prompts an emotional response for characters that you may not have liked 5 minutes ago. So as you're reading,
I like that.
yeah. So my feelings for the characters change, and I'm left trying to figure out which way the storyline's going to go, and if I'm going to be happy or upset about it when it goes there. You know, I like that. It's not your typical read. It's not something that is so cliche. It's been there, done that. It's like being on a ride the whole time, trying to figure it out. You know, where's the next turn? And I like that. I like that about stories. So you've done a really phenomenal job with that. You know, your title is perfect. You know, I would never say that you need to tweak your title in any way, especially having read the entirety of the book. Where did that come from?
Well, my original title that I played with it sounded too much like a children's book and gave the plot away.
Okay.
And it would have given the wrong impression. So, and I'm always intrigued with how our lives can change on a dime, as I say. You just didn't see that coming, and this character doesn't see it coming. He thinks he has his life all figured out and perfect, and he wants the best of everything, and he's getting it. And his life changes immediately, and it's a sudden future. He has to live now.
Absolutely. Yep. Like I said, it really is perfect. And it makes sense right from the get-go, you know, because wow, something big is about to happen. So perfect title. So tell me, what was your strategy for developing your characters? You know, I read a little in your Q&A on your website. You know, everything we write, we learned from somewhere. But I know your characters are not people that are in your life. So how did you develop those characters so well that you could actually, portray them in a way that I fell in love with your characters?
I would say that to start, the main character, the center of the story is a man, a 30-ish millennial, so to speak. And I grew up in male world. There are very few women in my family, so men do not mystify me.
Sure.
I have 3 brothers. My husband has 3 brothers. I have 5 nephews. I have 12 uncles. There's very few very few women.
Okay.
So I'm used to men. So I didn't have too much trouble with that. Then the female character is his love interest, as they say in Hollywood, and she's not in the story every minute, but she's always there. She's on the sidelines, and she has her own story. She has that you meet her and you think, she's just trophy wife kind of person or something, or a corporate shill or something, and that's not her. And so another thing that fascinates me is how we think we know people just because we see their outside.
Yes.
We so quickly, and I think we've always tempted to be this way, but I think in a world of social media and image, so much more, we think we know people and we don't until we dig. And that fascinates me about fiction, because you can do that in fiction. You can create your own people and show them show the reader that's wrong. And then the mother, who is the impetus for this story, she's a mess. I mean,
yes.
And she's based on some people I know, middle-aged women who just do some crazy stuff.
Sure.
And you're like, what were you thinking? Yeah. But I'm leaving out the main character because I don't want to give it away. So, but I had fun with the main character I'm not mentioning. That character is a fighter. Yep. And she's funny, and I just loved writing about her because she's funny, and yet she has a lot of emotion involved.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so that was definitely a dilemma that I had. You're faced with the fact that you misjudged some things, as you were reading, and it definitely brings to light, oh gosh, I really should have waited a minute before I formed my opinion. But I love that. I love that there's something to take from the reading. So I want to, how many other titles do you have published?
All right. I had 3 books published in 2008 to 2012 with a company called Oak Terra. And those were my first 3. Then I self-published 4. And this is number 8. Okay. And I'm working on, I finished up number 9 and hope to finish number 10. And then I'm going to, this year, which is halfway done, and then I'm going to take a break. Yeah. Because that'll be 10 novels in 14 years.
Wow.
So I'm going to take a break and do something else for a while. But then I'll come back and I have 10 other ideas. So.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. So I want to actually talk about your first book. So you've been writing, you said 14 years ago is when you started your first book. Is that right?
14, 15, 2008, wow.
Yeah, so publishing my first book was, it was an experience that really shaped my future, although I couldn't see it. At the time, you're just kind of living in the moment. But I was picked up by a publisher, and I had a lot of expectations for what they would bring to the table. But the input that I actually had was minimal. Marketing lacked dramatically. So I ended up, with a drive to start a publishing company that met those specific needs. And so that first book really it really threw a curveball and changed the trajectory of my future as a writer, but also my career. I want to talk about your first book and how that kind of changed your process of writing, or some things you do different because of that experience.
Oh wow, this you have 3 hours. I'll try to keep it short. Like you, I learned that the days where you wrote a book and they wined and dined you and did all the marketing and sent you on tours and all this, that doesn't exist unless you're already like super famous.
Sure.
Okay, and so you have to do a lot of the marketing yourself. And but the difference between that and self-publishing is that, and you can be successful at self-publishing if you're willing to market a lot, is that with a real, I don't think a real publisher, but an established publisher, etc., you got somebody that's got your back, somebody that believes in you, somebody that's taking a risk and is going to do what they have to do. But you still have a responsibility as a writer to do your own. But as far as the process of writing, that's a super question because it gave me a great deal of confidence. It told me, hey, somebody is willing to take a risk on me. Maybe I'm halfway good at this stuff, and to know that it was publishable gave me energy and confidence to go into the next work and to keep going. And if I had never gotten that one published, oh my word, I mean, I don't know what I would have written. But, even though it, from a logistical, financial, I mean, I made some money off of it, but not a lot. And I got some press. It just made me realize I could do this. And so, I also learned, this is going to seem, that I could learn to compose on a keyboard. I know that sounds silly, but I was just one of those people that thought there's no such thing as creative writing without cursive.
Yeah, right.
You have to do it with a pen on paper. It's just the brain does not connect creatively with a keyboard, and I learned that wasn't the case.
Right. Yeah, I'm still right there though. I like my pen and paper.
Yeah, and I understand that. It does take a lot longer to transcribe it though.
Sure. Yep, it does. Hey, I want you to share with us some of your favorite writing resources, just for those out there that are aspiring writers that are, I want to write a book, I want to publish a book, whatever it is that they, wherever they might be on their journey. What are some things that you would suggest for them?
Okay, I'm going to take this in another direction, and I won't go on and on forever, but I'm a college teacher, and we talk a lot. Okay. Everybody should have a book called Elements of Style by Strunk and White. It's a little book. It costs 50 cents maybe. You can get it at McKay's, whatever. This is not a commercial for McKay's, but, you can get it. And because that book is about how to write cleanly, clearly, logically, and to understand the English sentence, because that is the unit of meaning. Now, once you learn the rules and learn to do that, you can break them and have fragments and all that kind of stuff. But until you understand the English sentence, you can't write. And it's not sexy, but to me, it's like a basketball coach that he makes his players learn the fundamentals and goes over and over the fundamentals of those skills. And that's kind of the same way. Now, let me say a little bit about the author. A lot of people don't know that the Strunk and White, the White in that book is E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web.
Yep.
Now, who doesn't love Charlotte's Web? Right. I mean, come on. Let's talk about Charlotte's Web. It's a story of the little girl whose daddy's going to kill a pig, and she makes it his pet, and the other animals get together to conspire so the pig can live.
Yes.
He needs a function, and he has to win the county fair, and it's such delightful. And you can pick up any portion of that in just beautiful prose by this man. But it's a children's book that any adult can love. And I would recommend people, if y'all have that book, is find the chapter where Charlotte dies, and you'll be a puddle of tears because it is so brilliant. I can't even talk about it. It's so well written.
Yeah.
But E.B. White was a literary writer for the New Yorker magazine for 30s to the 60s, and it's about as highfalutin as you can get. But he understood clean, clear writing, so that's why it's a classic. So all that set aside, there are thousands of books out there on how to write fiction, novels, short stories, plays, screenplays, poetry. There's thousands of books. You could probably save yourself some money and just maybe look on the internet for a lot of those sources.
Yeah.
Because there is no end to the books you can buy. But I would recommend, very simple, is Writer's Digest.
Yeah.
Writer's Digest is it's worth your money as a resource. They have lots of online stuff, and I think there's so many books out there that you can just get inundated with all the books and their advice, and it keeps you from writing. Yep. The best thing to learn to write is to read good writers at any genre, and then have people you trust critique your writing honestly. And sometimes that's not going to be your relatives.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You have to go into a critique group with some thick skin sometimes.
Yes. Oh, my word. Yes.
Yeah. Find beta readers that you're not related to, that are willing to tell you the truth, even if it hurts your feelings a little. Yeah, absolutely. A huge fan of E.B. White, so I'm glad that you bring that up, and I love that advice. Get back to the basics. You can break the rules, but you got to know the rules first, and I think that's wonderful advice.
And I think you and I talked about this before. Is you can have a really interesting storyline and all those things, but if the writing is not there, and the fundamentals aren't there of writing, you're going to have a hard time selling it. Yep. Because in today's world, it's not like it was 50, 60 years ago where a publishing company might spend a lot of time editing. They expect your work to be readable, yep. When it comes to them. And an agent would be the same. An agent would have no interest in somebody that doesn't know the fundamentals of writing. Yep. So.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Well, look, I'm really excited about your book. We're looking at just a couple of months out, and folks can start looking for this, and we should have a cover reveal soon. And so I want to know how fans can connect with you, how they can follow you and see all of these things. I know you have a website, which is fantastic. I'll let you talk about that. You have a great blog, but perhaps the greatest resource that I see coming from you, and I need to jump on the train. You have a podcast, Dialogues with Creators, and it is fantastic. You've done a wonderful job with that. Probably need to talk with you offline about it. That's something I definitely would like to get into. You've had some great writers on there, Renee Winchester, and then Amber Nagel shared, her journey into full-time writing. So yeah, tell us a little about that and how folks can connect with you and stay up to date with what's going on.
Okay, as far as the podcast, it's on Stitcher and Apple, so you can find it through those, and it's Dialogues with Creators, and you'll know it's the right one because it's a green with a pen logo. And I do have to say for that one, a student of mine, Clemencia Villafuerte, she was the producer on that, and she was phenomenal because she did such a great job on the sound design, and she worked so hard on it, and she has so many talents in that regard. So I was thankful for her that she was able to help me with that and with the sound and everything, because you don't want it to sound, unprofessional. Sure. But I'm just blessed to know a lot of people, and I hope you will be on it soon. And another writer in my group will be on it soon. I don't want to say that yet, but I do wish people would log in and just listen on their phones. I think you'll enjoy it. A lot of different kind of people. I hope to have artists and musicians, visual artists and musicians. They're a little bit harder to do visual artists on the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
You can't show what they do. And some people like that. And then my website is Barbara Graham Tucker and .com, and I have a blog on there, and I try to, on that one, write about writing and write about the arts. And I have another blog where I actually have two other blogs that have different purposes. And so those are my content creation kinds of things to keep up with.
Perfect. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. So definitely check out our website, barbaragrahamtucker.com. I listened to the podcast directly through the website, read the blogs. She's got a frequently asked questions section. You can find out all about her books that she's written. So check it out. Barbara, I really appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
And look forward to the rest of our journey together. We'll be putting out some info about your new book soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
I hope you have a great evening.
Lovely. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining. See ya.